Today marks 1294 days of lessons I learned and continue to learn with all of you. My hope that these lessons will inspire you, support your dreams, help you achieve your goals, and will empower you to become the person that you want to become. Today I speak about food. Food to digest. But I don't speak about food that we eat with our mouth. I think that today I want to speak about food that we digest with our eyes, with our ears, the things that goes to our soul, that nourishes our souls, nourishes our spirit, nourishes our mental clarity, nourishes something that we able to really improve or move towards that vision. Food is important to digest because that's focused on physical energy. But sometimes I think that we forget how important it is to really feed our soul, feed our spirits, feed our emotional and mental energy as well. And today I will really use food digestion as metaphor, as similarity between how you're supposed to eat really food and how you're supposed to really feed your soul, just to make sure that we're able to really move towards that true success. So when you think about food, just actual food, before food, most time what we have a hunger. A hunger. And I think that when we in soul, when you think about our soul and mental energy, we need to have a hunger. A hunger for knowledge, a hunger for wisdom, hunger for understanding, hunger for truth. That means it's curiosity. We have a massive curiosity because we know that curiosity will nourish our soul, nourish our understanding, nourish our wisdom. Because without hunger for knowledge, without hunger for wisdom, we'll not seek, the food for soul. We'll not seek knowledge. And I think the first thing what we need to do when I'm thinking about vision is creating more curiosity, more hunger to really pursue that personal development. Personal development is a hunger for better life, a hunger for better tomorrow, a hunger to become somebody that you're not right now. Second thing, I think that we need to understand that there's need to be some kind of acid to really digest food, and I think that the most important acid to digest information, wisdom, knowledge is presence and stillness. Without it, it's very, very hard to digest. So that means that when you think about really absorbing information, absorbing wisdom, we need to be present. We need to allow ourselves to really settle things down. Because if we be distracted and focusing on 10, 20 different things at the same time, we're not able to really absorb that information, absorb that wisdom. And I think that a lot of times that what happens to us is that we have a lot of information, great information coming to our way, and might be that it comes from 5 different directions, and we are not able to focus to any of those, and we actually not absorbing neither. So 5 great foods for knowledge, for wisdom is coming to our way, but we're not able to be present and still, and all that information just goes through us and not go into us. And the presence and stillness is one of the key aspects to really that allows us to really absorb all that information, all that wisdom that is going to us. Next one I think that is very important about the food is enzymes. And I think that intellectual enzymes are reflections. Reflections. That means that when we're able to really turn that passive information, that we gather information, gather wisdom, we use that passive information and turn it into personal insight. Because a lot of times, all the things that we learn is generalized, or it could be a little bit specific. But now, when we really reflect, we're able to see like, how I could use this wisdom, how I could use this information, how I could use this knowledge into my specific life, specific situation. So reflection is very, very important because we need to really enzymes are to really separate all the foods into the things that could into the details that we can understand that how we use for ourselves. So that means that we need to really do journaling, deep thinking, just to make sure that like how all the things come together, how we separate together things, just to make sure that we can really bring the things together again in the best possible insight. Number 4, and I think this is again very, very important, and this is probably the beginning of the when you start eat what you need to chew, the chewing process. That means that you really allow that food to really get smaller and smaller and smaller until it's easier to digest. And I think that that's exactly is in with dialogue. We're able to chew and chew and chew that information and really share that and discuss that and have a dialogue and conversation and feedback and forth feedback on that wisdom, on that information, on that knowledge. And that's how exactly we chew information. And then that means that even a small conversation about one idea, about one wisdom, could refine that idea drastically, and sometimes could really dialogue for 5, 10, 15 minutes could really save you from 5 hours, maybe even 10 hours of reflection on yourself. So dialogue is a massive thing. So it means that exactly with food, if you really take a big bite and you just swallow it, the stomach will work a long time to digest it. But if you chew it before that, and you allow stomach to do the rest of the work, it's much, much faster and much easier to digest. And I think that exactly the same is for ourselves. When we have a dialogue, we chunk those big pieces of information into smaller pieces. And when we start digesting by ourselves, we're able to really get to those insights much, much faster because it's smaller things that we need to reflect on. It's very powerful. Dialogue is one of the most important things of digestion system. Number 5 is application. That means assimilation. So that means that knowledge without action is like food that never leave the stomach. So that means that we need to really use that information. That means that if you don't use that information, that means that we need to understand that there's so much nutrients in that wisdom. But if you actually don't take those actions, those nutrients doesn't come into our life. So much information is out there. But when think about the wisdom, because wisdom is, I think that is coming from actually implementing things. So that's application is the place where we use that information and move the information from the knowledge to the wisdom. And probably you've heard that knowledge is knowing that tomato is a fruit, but wisdom is not putting tomato in a fruit salad. I don't remember who that said it, but it's very important to understand that knowledge and wisdom is different because knowledge is past information and wisdom is something that you actually know how to use it in your day-to-day life. And application, assimilation is one of the things that is very, very important regarding the food in general. And I think that the last one is time and repetition. I think that we need to understand that when we think about really healthy body, we need to really eat that healthy food over and over and over and over again every single day. We need to eat healthy food. Now it could be slip on once in a while some unhealthy food. That's totally fine. But like the majority of 90% of the time, we need to eat healthy food to be healthy. And exactly the same with our mind, with our soul, with our spirit. We need to eat healthy food for our soul. And what is that? Books, podcasts, seminars, great dialogues. Those are the things that really develops our inner peace, develops our presence, develops our strength, inner peace. I think it's very, very important to understand that as often we feed our body, as often we're supposed to feed our soul, our mental energy, our emotional energy, even financial energy. Because that's again how much we educate ourselves, how much wisdom do you put in that field, because if we are not intentional about something, because again, this is one of the best books that I ever read was by John C. Maxwell, was Intentional Living. And that means have intention about it. So if you want to have a strong spirit, strong soul, what we need to have? We need to have intentional living around it. So that means what do we put? What kind of food do we put to develop that strength, that inner strength, that inner peace? So everything what we want to develop, that means we need to feed that, that feel, that side of us that we could grow, improve, and really allow us to achieve the things that we want. So we reflect as well on this topic because this topic is very unique and I think it's very important. How much do we feed ourselves in the places that we want to grow in? Because I think that we're not supposed to wait for things to change. We want to make sure that we change, that things could change around us. So I hope you choose to win, and see you tomorrow.